Hey, we're back again. Jason and Jen Catalanato here. What's up, babe?
What's up? How are you?
Doing good. Are you ready to do this today?
Let's do it. What do we want to talk about?
I was thinking that we can talk a little bit about life and business post-pandemic.
Absolutely.
I think we're kind of at some crossroads here in our business, and let's kind of talk through, I guess, maybe just kind of brainstorm while we're here on this podcast today.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know us, we're Jason and Jen Catalanato. We're the team leaders of the Lifestyle Home Team brokered by eXp Realty. We're also real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. I think, we've had some really unique opportunities present themselves in real estate and other businesses,
Right.
And we're kind of at this crossroads on, what we're doing next.
Right. So real estate is still our passion, right? So let's be clear about that. We aren't getting away from real estate, but what can we expand our real estate connections to, I think, is a lot of what's going on.
Right. And I will say, real estate will always be the cornerstone of, I think, our life and all of our business adventures, because all of these opportunities have stemmed from real estate.
They have.
It's either been, clients that we've met along the way that have become like friends and more like family, I would say, than even just friends.
Yep.
And, some of those investments, what those investments have done for us, and, things like that. So I guess we'll kind of start with just even really how we kind of got into this world of investing with what were clients at the time, now friends. I'll kind of share. So you want to share? Why don't you share your story with how you met your best friend today?
All right. So it was actually a short sale, right? So there was a short sale that came through our office and nobody wanted to do it because of the paperwork. The negotiations involved in a short sale can be mind-numbing and time-consuming. So me being a new agent, I'm like, you know what? I'll take that on. And
nobody else wanted to take this on.
I'm like, I get to negotiate with a bank now? This is even cooler, right? So I looked at it from that perspective. So here I get this listing. It's in a neighborhood. Got a guy that calls me. Turns out he's about my age, and he decides he wants to get into real estate flipping. And he's been entrepreneurial, but hadn't really done any real estate flipping to that point. So ends up buying the house, and I notice the house is sitting there. And several months later, I'm like, hey, man, what's going on with this house? You're not really flipping it. You haven't done anything to it. He's like, I know, I'm so busy. I got all these other businesses. And I'm like, I got a guy that I think can get this house ready and we can flip it, and let me help you through this process. And so I earned his trust that way, and I did. I actually brought in another one of my friends that had moved here from out of state that was looking for some work, who was super handy, and he did this job. And he flipped this house. He made it look amazing. Here we end up selling this house for profit, and the client at the time, who's now a great friend of mine, comes back to me and he's like, hey, would you want to help me coach football? Because we have two sons that are about the same age. And I'm like, yeah, I love football, right? So we kind of started from there. It became this real estate transaction that I saw a struggle for. I stepped in, helped bridge that gap. It built that trust. Then he invited me to something else. And then from there, it just goes down this rabbit hole of all these other things we've done together. But it's a great example of how we really made a really close friend through real estate.
Well, and I'm going to point out a couple of key things that happened in that transaction that I think were lessons learned. First of all, you never know what lead is a good lead.
Right.
He came in as a lead. Another experienced agent didn't want it because she didn't want the hassle. It was this is before all the prices went crazy. So it was an inexpensive home. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I just don't want to deal with it. It's not worth my time. This person, you don't know who's walking in that door. He is a very knowledgeable business owner. He has now not only himself bought many properties with us, but his entire family has bought properties with us. And, we were new into this area, right? We didn't know anybody. So not only did it become a friendship, he got us involved in the community. He got us involved with the coaching, and most of our friends and connections came through that one real estate transaction. And then not only was that, so I think that was one of the big key takeaways. You never know who's on the other end of that phone. Yep. And so treat everybody with the same respect. If it was $1 million buyer or $100,000 buyer, that person, you don't know who it is. And even if it is only a $100,000 buyer, that's everything to them.
Right. Absolutely.
So treat them the same way. Yep. They deserve that respect. But then I think the other thing that was a really key takeaway from that was you didn't just go, oh, well, the sale's over, and drove past that house over and over, seeing it sitting there, and you didn't just not care. you are genuinely came from a place of like concern. Like, I know that this guy's intention was to buy this property and to flip it, instead of just driving by going, oh, well, that sucks, I'm not doing anything with it. You reached out. You're like, hey, man, what's going on? Like, how can I help you? And I really believe that that's our job as real estate professionals. It's so much bigger than the transaction. So we've met so many incredible people.
Yeah.
It was funny. We were even talking about it today because I'm friends with everybody on Facebook, and I saw one of our clients and I'm like, what's so cool? She got a book published. She won't say what it is. She's writing under a pen name, that she published a book, and now a publisher has contracted her for 3 more books in her series. So I'm like, how cool, like, to know that I just met this one single mom who was struggling when she moved here is now publishing books. Like, you just meet so many cool people, and you don't ever know who they are in their situation and what they're capable of. So I think just don't ever prejudge the people you meet. Genuinely care about them as human beings, and it will open up so many possibilities. So that's kind of how we got close with them.
Right.
But, they also have been the ones that have opened up a lot of opportunities for us as far as other business ventures. Again, this is where I think we all come up, like, I think our last episode we talked about having a plan, which I think is super important, but it's also to realize that plans change, right?
Yeah.
Like, we are at some crossroads right now with making some key life decisions. Again, being friends with these people, and we've invested in a lot of things with them, and some of those real estate investments have really paid off and opened the doors for other
opportunities now.
Yeah. And so now we're kind of looking at that. We're like, okay, we want to be in all these other different businesses, which more about all of them. You're kind of going down that rabbit hole. I'm just coming in at the meetings when I need to be there.
Right.
So I guess kind of explain what is our future? Please enlighten me.
So I want to do more diversification, right? Like, I think it's cool to have, and this is the entrepreneurial spirit in us, right? It would be cool to have a whole bunch of businesses that we can work on, that we can refer to, that we can just have, right? Why have all of your income stability come from one source? Why not diversify even into other segments, right? Like, we're very real estate focused, but for some of you that know me, baseball cards was my first hustle when I was 10 years old. A good amount of our portfolio is actually basketball and baseball cards. So,
and I'm really not liking this podcast right now because I've admitted a couple times where I was wrong.
Right.
I'm
so glad we're recording these.
But I have to give the backstory just because I think it is such a fascinating story. And I know we've told people before, but I just think it's so cool. So we are from the town where LeBron James is from. And so he actually went to high school with my sister. He played youth football against my brother. And so this was like when he was in high school. There was all this like rumblings and talk about him becoming
the next big thing. Yeah.
We're young, and we had started a car dealership, which we were pretty maxed out on everything with inventory.
No, at this point we were in cell phone stores.
No, this was at the car dealership when you traded. Okay. Yeah. So, no. So we had a car dealership, and we're a young family. We're just getting started in business, and he comes home with boxes of LeBron James stuff, like boxes, and I'm like,
in these boxes, it's autographed basketballs, it's shoes, it's jerseys. So for those of you that are familiar with sports, McDonald's game is huge. I have LeBron's McDonald's jersey,
like legit stuff. But this is before he was big, and I'm like, where did we get all this from? And he's like, I traded a car. He gave a car away for this LeBron James stuff, and I was like, I'll never forget. I was like, I'm going to kill you. We are not in a position to do this. And it took a long time for it to, but I mean, it worked out.
But I saw the value, right? Because literally sports cards was probably my first hustle. I remember being 9-10 years old, going to a flea market in this little town in Ohio that I'm from, selling baseball cards, basketball cards, football cards, right? And I always had that passion in sports, right? Like, I love sports. So it was from Northeast Ohio. The biggest thing at that time was Akron. In Akron was LeBron James. And I'm like, this is cool. So why not take a risk on it, right? So,
well, that risk definitely paid off. I will give you that. But it was, I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe we just gave up a car for hopefully. So, but whatever. It worked out. It did work out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to take those leaps of faith, I guess.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I was relating this the other day because I'm in the collectible world as well, right? So I like to now chase sports.
Shoes.
Yes, shoes
Show
awesome
up
right now.
I love that he complains about my Amazon packages and stuff like that. I think he's getting more packages of shoes a day than I.
But I'm investing, Jen. I'm investing in the Jordans. I'm investing in the
I'm
Dunks.
investing into looking good.
And you're doing fantastic at that. I'll let you keep doing that.
I agree. I think that it's, if it's something that you're passionate about and there's hobbies that you like, if there's a way to turn those hobbies into like a business opportunity, why not? Because it's it gives you opportunities to do other things. We are always, we're always looking at stuff like that, Yeah. Even now you put your stinking car on Turo.
I did. I was bored one night and I was like, well, this actually goes back to the gentleman we were talking about earlier that I'm super close friends with. One day we got an idea like, man, we need some cool cars. We need a Ferrari. We need a Lambo. But I don't want to pay for all this stuff. So how can we get these really cool exotic cars and not pay for them or have them make us money ultimately? So we're like, we're starting a car rental company. And so we started researching this. And what I found actually going down this road is nobody wants to insure you on this stuff unless you have a history of this. They don't want to insure you. So I'm like, okay, let's go Turo, right? So I'm looking into Turo. What's the highest, most expensive car I can put on Turo? What are they going to let me do? And then plan for the worst, right? What if it gets in an accident? How's the coverage come? How does that affect us? So I decided one night to put my Range Rover on there, and
then he forgets that he did it.
Totally forgot I did it. And guys, I don't know if you guys are all like this, but I turn a lot of my notifications on my apps off because I don't want my phone dinging every second. So I must have never turned the Turo notification on, and I wake up in the morning to how do I get in? And I'm scrambling my brain thinking, oh man, we just locked somebody out of one of the Airbnbs. Who's checking in? How do they not have the info? I'm going down the whole house route, and I'm like, you know what? I'm so sorry. Please let me know what home are you referring to? And she's like, the Range Rover? I was like, oh shit, it rented.
And then I get the jump out of bed in the morning. He's like, what are you doing today? And I'm like, whatever you're doing, I'm not doing it. I don't know what you got yourself into. But I do think it is fascinating because we were talking about, we're always weighing out, like, what is the cost of something, right? And one of the things that we hate is that cars are a liability, right? Yeah. You generally, you don't make money on them, but they're a necessity. We all need them to get around. Right. And,
So how do you turn that liability into an asset? How do you turn the liability into an income producing vehicle?
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
Right. So
I'm just going to keep buying more
I'm just waiting until I show up for rent somewhere because at this point we're renting everything.
Everything's for rent except my wife and kids.
We have kids, we got dogs. You want a cat? We got a cat.
Right.
So yeah, maybe you can rent emotional support animals. Maybe that's a new business.
That's a good one.
We didn't know about.
Up. Yes, that's what we're doing after the podcast.
So clearly we have all these ideas all the time.
Right.
But no, back to I know we went a little sidetracked there, but really looking at some of these investments and some things that we want to do. We definitely want to, like you said, we're always going to stay in the real estate side of things.
Yeah.
But now that is our core business and we want to expand in other things, we're really having to start taking a hard look at our real estate business, how we have things structured, and, what are those key hires that we have to make. Mm-hmm. And I think that going back to kind of the team conversation, it's really important, at least we take it to heart as to when somebody joins our team, these people are really looking and trusting us with their family's financial, situation and their future. And so now, we don't want to turn away from all these other opportunities. So I think we're really starting to explore, what do we hire an operator? Do we partner with an operator? Right. What does that look like? Because, time is money and we don't have any more time. There's nothing more we can do with that.
And I think we're at the point where we want to figure out how do we work on a whole bunch of businesses rather than work in primarily one business. Mm-hmm. And when you're working on them versus working in them, those are very different roles. And I think you can scale more and get more done when you're working on them versus in them.
And I think that was another thing kind of going back to, previous conversations is that control.
Yeah.
I think that's a struggle for both of us because the real estate world is such a passion of ours. Mm-hmm. And just because it's changed our life. I will say I've never entered in a business that in such a short amount of time truly changed our life. Mm-hmm. Being completely transparent, when we moved here 10 years ago, and we thought we had it all mapped out and planned, but I can tell you, moving your family from state to state is, there's so much more that goes into it that you just don't even plan for. And then we hit some financial roadblocks, and I got into real estate more out of like necessity. Like we've been married for 20 years this summer, and he's never come to me and said, Jen, I think I need you to get a job. Like we've always worked together, but he's like, I really think I need you to get rolling on some things. So when we first moved here, the plan was for me to stay home with the kids. We didn't have family, we didn't have anybody here, so we didn't have somebody we trusted. They were little for them to babysit. So, and he took his first job in the corporate world, which did not work out well for him. That is not not what he should be doing. But in all the years we've been together, he's never said, I really think I need you to get a job. And that's when we really started looking. He told me to get into real estate, and I was like, oh my God, everybody's going to get into real estate and make $1 million and do this. But it did make the most sense. But I will say I've never been in an industry where there is so much opportunity.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, and if you are in real estate and you are not looking at it from an investment standpoint, and you're only worried about that next deal or what you're doing to make that next sale, guys, you're going to burn yourself out. I can tell you, like, I never thought that I would get to that point either. And, I love working with our clients. I know we have a hard time letting control, especially because our clients are like family to us.
Yeah.
And so we'll never let go of that. But how do you scale it? And at a certain point,
and it shifts though too, right? Like when we first got in it was all about buyers and sellers, and that, that type of transaction where someone's buying a home to live in, or they're selling their home that they're living in to move into a different home, upsizing or downsizing. And now for me, especially, I think it's changed drastically because now I'm jumping into syndications, putting together syndications, more on the investment side, like, okay, what are you doing to build wealth? How can I help you with that? And is that in a short-term, a mid-term, a long-term rental, and helping put that together? That, to me, I'm more passionate about that now than the original transaction.
Right. And that's where, thankfully we have the team, and our team really handles those, regular transactions. Now, we still do every once in a while, but I would say I hope real estate agents and real estate professionals really realize that the real play here and the real opportunity is creating wealth through real estate. And if you aren't thinking about that, or if somebody isn't training you up on how to do that, reach out to us, because it has changed our life in a very, very short amount of time. And, we were kind of, I'm going to just put out there, we were flat out broke 10 years ago. Like we really were. And then, now to be able to have these opportunities where we are investing in Mo's, we're investing in other businesses, we've invested in hotels. And like to Jason's point though, you don't have to do it alone. And we could not have done it if we didn't have people there in our corners. Like with our team, like we really try to encourage them to, look at how you're going to invest. What is that plan for you to invest? And when he syndicates out these deals, we offer it to people. Like, if you are somebody who wants to get into real, investing, but you're like, I can't do a whole deal by myself or whatever. We are always looking for people that want to invest, and we have it all figured out how we structure it, where it's safe for everybody. And, I think
it's more fun, right? Because we win on a lot of this stuff. So to me, it's more fun to win as a team, because, your team member are your other partners in that deal. And when everybody wins together, it's like, I relate it to the craps table a lot. When you go to a casino and you go to a craps table, if that table's winning, everybody's winning. That table's hot. It's fun. So I think it's better to win with friends than to win alone.
Right. And then I think the other thing too is, like, by being able to do a little bit in a bunch of different businesses, it reduces your risk.
It does.
So,
and it opens up more doors, right? Think of all the people you meet in different segments of your life, and in different businesses and in different industries of business that you meet. I just think that we've opened a ton of doors. We're continuing to open more doors because we're getting into other things now that are just different industries.
I agree. And then I think the other thing is, again, a limited mindset that I had as a real estate agent when I was just working the buyers and sellers, is you would be surprised at how many of your current clients really want to get into investing and want to buy multiple properties, but we're not reaching out asking. We're not even extending the olive branch to say, hey, is this something you considered? And it wasn't until we started really sharing our Airbnbs and sharing certain things that we are doing that clients I would have never thought has called me and said, hey, I want to do this. Like, can you help me buy a rental? Can you help me buy this? And now those other clients are buying 2, 3, 4 homes a year with us, not just that one and
it's
done.
cool to see them become in a better financial spot because of these. A lot of this is advice that we're giving that they're capitalizing on, and now we're making their life or their legacy better.
Right. And then the other thing too that we do offer is because we do the property management, and with that, we do have a lot of other agents refer us their property, their clients, because they don't know that world, they don't want to deal with it, and we always, because we respect that was their client, we service the property management, but we don't ever try to take them as a client, because that's just not how we would want to do business.
Correct.
But so I don't know. I just think that the whole real estate investing world is incredible. I think we're going to make some decisions here pretty quickly on how we hire an operator or partner with an operator, because, we definitely want to grow the team still. We want to grow the real estate side of the business. We just need more hands in-house to help us scale and be able to service more clients. And then, there's exciting things coming. We're going to
for sure
be, the Mo's is the first, that's the one we're officially committed to, but we got some other things in the works. So we'll be excited to share those things with you guys as they transpire. But I don't know, if you haven't really thought about real estate investing, think about it. If you have questions about it, let us know. Something we'd really love to help. Any other comments, thoughts on it?
That's it. Like and subscribe, and we'll be back for some more info.
Yeah. And again, if you guys have any questions, or if you are a real estate agent who doesn't even know where to begin or even to start working with those clients, reach out. We can definitely help with that.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys. Have a good one.
Bye.